Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 405. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today, we've got Kevin Reichstraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, hi.
How's it going?
Pretty good. It's
Nice.
spring. Flowers. I bought a ton of flowers yesterday.
Nice. Solid.
Yeah, you know how what that does to me.
Yeah. We're in the process of my wife is in the process of rebuilding our garden right now. Because, the hurricane we did all this landscaping, planted all these beautiful flowers, bushes, trees, etc. And then a hurricane came through and just destroyed everything. So we're in the rebuilding phase right now. And we got like plants that are a lot more resilient to water.
Okay.
And it's coming along quite nicely, I gotta say.
That was bizarre when you showed me the pictures, how they looked like the hurricane carefully scooped them out of the garden
because
bed.
the holes were there, It was like you could see the hole where the plant was. I think it's because we just planted them very shortly before.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They just didn't
have
the roots
extensive roots.
Right. It just didn't have a chance to grow out yet. That's why it looked like that. It was kind of nuts.
Love it.
Yeah, so we're doing that too. We got all new sod. They redid all of the grass in our yard because we got a sprinkler system, and then also they redid all the grass because the weeds took over our grass.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was just 90% dollar weed.
No.
So they redid all of our grass. Anyway, this is not a gardening show.
It could be if you want.
It could be. Maybe we'll do a spin-off.
Let's start it up.
Like Botany Pulse or something.
I'm for it.
Now, this week on the show, we'll be reviewing the action comedy Nobody, which is now out on VOD platforms. We'll also be going over some of what we've been watching on the watch list and going over this week's new releases on VOD and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please remember to review us on iTunes if you get a moment. That would be super helpful. Just one bit of housekeeping news. The new episode of Saved by the 90s should be dropping this week. I'm in the middle of editing that. I can talk about what the theme is this month, and it's going to be SNL movies.
Mm-hmm.
So we watched 4 SNL movies and discussed those, along with just SNL in the 90s in general, and how it was objectively the best decade for SNL.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so stay tuned for that. I'll announce the exact day that that's going to drop on social media, so you can follow us on Film Pulse Net on Twitter or 90s Pod on Twitter, and we'll announce that. All right, let's go ahead and dive into our review. We're talking about Nobody. Now, this is a movie that it came out in theaters a few weeks ago, and I think that I don't know if they planned for a quick turnaround to VOD, but I think it was smart for them to do that.
Yeah.
This is directed by Ilya Naishuller. I have a synopsis here. A bystander who intervenes to help a woman being harassed by a group of men becomes the target of a vengeful drug lord. I don't know if that's... I mean, technically that is accurate.
I think it works in the sense that you're trying to divert attention away from what this movie is actually about.
But see, the thing is, though, if you see the trailer, you know damn well that it's not like that. They reveal in the trailer, as I'm about to reveal right now, that this guy has a past, and we know that he's not just a regular Joe Schmo. We know that he had something crazy in his past, because in the trailer, I mean, you see him, being a badass fighter and kicking a lot of ass.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. This is directed by the guy who did Hardcore Henry, by the way.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people had issues with Hardcore Henry, but I liked it. I still think it was cool. Kevin, we'll start with you. What did you think of Nobody?
This is also written by the guy that did John Wick.
Correct. Yes, and I think that most immediately the thing that people will talk about is or compare this to is John Wick. I mean, this is very much.
It's very much John Wick.
It's in the same family. It is definitely in the Wick family, and if they're not talking about some kind of crossover right now, they're 100% missing out on probably millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah. So I think those two things, because I don't think I really knew that going into this, or like the lead up to watching this, and then I kind of stumbled across it. The director and the writer, which made me far more optimistic than what I was originally going in. And I gotta say, this was a pleasant surprise because I enjoyed the hell out of this movie.
I don't want to bury the lead here. I loved this movie. I thought it was fucking incredible. Like, I had an absolute blast. I watched it twice, actually. I watched it on Friday, and then I watched it again last night because my brother-in-law and his girlfriend came to visit, and neither of them saw it, and they were talking about it and like, oh, we really wanted to see that. And I'm like, hey,
let's do it.
It's out on VOD, because they didn't even know. They didn't know it was out on VOD yet. So that was so ended up watching it again last night. And you know what? Like normally I never rewatch movies, especially that in close proximity, like a day later. But I was excited to rewatch it. Like I was all about it because it's just. I just had a blast with it. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I and not only is it, John Wick-esque in its kind of like the story and him being with the dark past and everything. He's trying to get out and he gets pulled back in, but just the way in which you don't get all of the world, but you get enough hints. Like they already set this up. To have multiple films. You know what I mean? Like this is pre-packaged as like a franchise.
Oh yeah.
And they give you just enough, the rules and how this world works that that there's going to be more. They tease them out enough that I'm intrigued and I would like to know more about this world. But it's fairly basic, which I didn't mind at all because the action is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I was really concerned with the John Wick movies because John Wick 1 does the exact same thing that nobody does, or vice versa. Nobody sort of follows that same formula where it gives you a little glimpse inside of this world, and it sort of hints at things like systems and people and organizations that are in place. Like when he goes to the barber, for instance, like that scene, it's very similar to John Wick, where you're just like, oh man, there's a lot of backstory here. Like they really kind of thought about how this was all gonna be before they set out to do it, and they don't spell everything out for you. There's not like tons of exposition. There's just enough to give you a little bit into this guy's past. And I think that moving forward, and yes, this is clearly going to be a franchise. Like there's just absolutely no way that they're not going to be. They're probably working on the sequel right now. I think that the thing that they need to be very careful about is with the sequel giving too much away and opening up that world too much, where you're just like overwhelmed with plot and lose sight of what's really important, which is the crazy, insane action. And I don't think John Wick fell victim to that. I think that they did things in a very smart way with John Wick, and I'm just kind of hoping that they do the same thing here. And again, you got to have a crossover. You could easily make this, retrofit this into that world, and it would still work. Like they didn't introduce anything in this movie that you wouldn't be able to like explain by having both series set in the same world.
Yeah.
They could totally do that. I think that'd be incredible. Yeah, talking about the action, incredible. Absolutely top notch. Bob Odenkirk, I think that was kind of the big surprise that everybody had with this, is that you have Bob Odenkirk, who is traditionally a comedic actor, in a really action heavy role. I mean, he's like a bona fide action star at this point. And that was kind of the surprising thing, and like just how well he was able to acclimate to that very like physical role and just completely excel at it. Like he kicked so much ass in this movie. It was incredible. And they did a lot of things. They did a lot of things right, at least in my book. First of all, when we see that initial big fight on the bus, which you do see that in the trailer. You see some of that in the trailer. It sets things off on the right tone. Like we understand how the fights are going to play out in this movie, and I think that it's introducing that initial fight scene was really smart because A, it was badass. It was an incredible fight scene, and B, it was like a warm up for him. Like it would have been weird if this guy goes for years and years without, fighting or flexing his skills, and then just all of a sudden is like, a badass. It's the first fight's sloppy. He gets his ass kicked in the first fight, and I liked that. I liked that it wasn't super clean because it would have been weird if it was.
Yeah, he's not unstoppable either. That fight scene is him kind of shaking off some rust, and it's also I like how they set this up in the sense that like he's itching to get back. Like this isn't him getting like pulled back in, and like this isn't him like going out for revenge and vengeance. I mean, it kind of starts off that way, and then he's like, "Oh shit, I made a mistake. This is not what I should be doing." And then he gets on the bus, and he gets this opportunity where he's just like, "Yes, this is what I want." And I like that his character's kind of fucked up in that way. Is that he just desperately wants to get back to destroying people physically, and like that's the basic. Story of this movie is what it's simple. It's just to set up some action sequences, but I do like that you have that reading there if you want that this is like very like American, and that he can't help it. Like violence is a part of him, and he just has to get back out there and destroy people.
Yeah,
can't do it. He can't do it. He's got to destroy people in every way possible.
Well, one thing that surprised me, and I didn't really look too much into this movie, but the fact that, and I'm going to be careful not to give away too much because I think that there are some kind of surprises in here, but the fact that RZA is in this and plays his brother, I had no idea RZA was in this, and the fact that Christopher Lloyd plays his dad. Those were two big surprises for me because I didn't even know that they were in this movie, and they both were incredible, and I loved every scene with the two of them.
Yeah,
it's just
and obviously the way that it all culminates with that.
Oh
huge,
my god!
I mean,
oh my god! You got traps. There's a lot of traps in here too, which is something I love. Any movie that involves traps is instant bonus points for me.
I mean, this movie is
got it all.
Brutal. They do some ridiculous stuff. It's got hand-to-hand combat. You got your gunplay.
Mm-hmm.
You got your explosions. You have a string of 3 headshots with 1 bullet.
Oh.
I mean,
yeah.
What more do you want?
Yeah, I think that I don't know if action fans were hesitant because of Bob Odenkirk in the starring role, and the fact that it does have a lot of comedy in it. It does have a lot of comedic aspects. So I don't know if they were like, if action fans were hesitant about it. But man, I can tell you right now, this is like top. This is top tier. This is top tier action. All of the set pieces are incredibly well choreographed. Very satisfying, brutal. I mean, it's just again top tier stuff. Loved it.
It's one of those things where I'm like, I shouldn't like it, but I absolutely love it.
It's just it just exudes badassery. I mean, it's just
but
so much fun.
It's like it has that fucked up thing with the like if you read into it.
Well,
with,
yeah, where he's like
no one likes him, and his wife doesn't even want to look at him or touch him. But now that masculinity's coming out.
Right. Yeah, I thought about that too.
Oh boy, everything starts heating up.
I thought about that too.
But the body pillars are being moved.
I think the one way you could look at it, not necessarily the fact that his like we got his testosterone back, he's not some pussy anymore. Like I think that another way that you can look at it is that he's more himself. Like because not only does it's not just that he gave in to his like violent tendencies or whatever, but he had more personality. Like he was more energetic. He was more positive. He was interacting with his family more. He was showing them more affection and stuff. And it was just like, that was like the dopamine hit, or not dopamine. Well, yeah, dopamine too, but it was like it turned on the serotonin in his brain and it knocked him out of that like depression that he was in.
Yeah, and that's why I like that reading, because like he's America, we can try and change and become progressive in a way, but there's still always going to be that built-in, like fuck yeah, you just shot 3 dudes in the head with one bullet. That was fucking awesome. You know what I mean? Like you can try and move yourself away from that, but you're going to get pulled back in most of the time.
Yeah. Something tells me that Elia Nishuler was not really thinking about Hutch being America in this, but...
Derek Kolstad might have been, though.
That is true. Because,
to tie it with the military and everything.
Yeah.
You can try and rebrand yourself, but, man, your job is to fucking kill people. And that's what they do.
Mm-hmm. Either way, I had a blast with this. I think that it was very evenly paced. Like there was no like, it's not wall to wall action, but there is a lot of action. I think a satisfying amount of action. It's just the right amount. I think that it strikes a nice balance between plot and action.
I just want to say that I think this is wherein the idea of casting like a comedian type works perfectly, because the stuff in between the action, you have Bob Odenkirk, which Bob Odenkirk just doing his day-to-day, like failing to take out the trash or cooking eggs, like that type of thing. Like he is good in those situations.
Yeah.
So the stuff where you're not doing action it works because of him.
Yep, completely agree with that. I think Bob Odenkirk is an inherently likable guy in whatever role he's in, even in like Better Call Saul. Like we all know that Saul is a kind of a scummy lawyer guy, but he's also extremely likable, and I think that's one thing that Bob Odenkirk does really well.
It's Bob Odenkirk.
You just like Bob Odenkirk.
Yep, you do.
It's hard not to like him, and I think that goes a long way in this movie. I'm just imagining if this role was played by anybody else, I just don't know if it would have worked quite as well.
Yeah, because this is like as good as the John Wick movies are, and Keanu Reeves is. Like Keanu Reeves doesn't have that ability where I'm like, where he's just doing day-to-day things. And
well,
I'm like, Keanu, love it.
And I think that's where these two movies do differ, is that there is more of that kind of character arc in Nobody. Whereas in John Wick, the plot or narrative bits are so like there's almost nothing, because the action is part of the plot and the world building and the narrative in John Wick. So in a way, those movies are structured a bit different. Whereas with Nobody, there is more of like a psychological element where he has his family that he's trying to take care of and protect, and he is straddling the line between these two worlds where he's trying to live a normal life, but also constantly being pulled back into this world of violence. And with John Wick, that's really not an issue. Like, Wick is just straight up living in that violent world, from the events of the first movie. So
because here in this, I could just watch Bob Odenkirk be the accountant.
Yeah, I know.
For that little factory, like that little warehouse job that he's having. I can just do that because it's Bob Odenkirk.
I think that they have, and the great thing is, they do again set it up for a sequel, and I think that the options are so open for them in the sequel that they could take this a lot of different directions, and maybe it won't work, but I don't know. I think that they have a winning formula here, and I can't imagine as long as they get the same writer, director, crew back for a sequel, I just don't see how it could not succeed.
Yeah, and I think the main thing is just don't get too cute with it. Just keep it simple.
Keep it simple, stupid.
See, exactly. This is also executive produced by Tobey Maguire, which I find
interesting.
Funny.
I did not know that. I mean, I want to reiterate the Christopher Lloyd presence in this. I feel like I haven't seen him in anything in a really, really long time.
And so much so that I wasn't 100% sure at first. It's just like, that guy kind of looks like Christopher Lloyd. And then I made the connection that it was indeed Christopher Lloyd. And I got very, very excited.
I mean,
because I didn't know either. I didn't know about him. I didn't know RZA. I really didn't know too much about this movie. I thought it was just more of him, because I didn't see the trailers. I just thought it was him getting revenge on somebody or something like that. And then you have the way that it's set up with the break-in, and I was just like, okay, this is going to be the thing, and he's going to get tied into something else, whatever. But then what it turned out to be was I like that a lot more.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot more than just your standard, guy hits his breaking point and loses it and then seeks revenge. It's there's a lot more going on to it than that. Like the family aspect, the familial aspect of it. When RZA's first introduced, it's over a radio, like a transmission, like a ham radio or some shit, and so there's questions there, why is he in hiding? What's going on there?
Yeah,
I wasn't even sure, because I didn't even know for sure that was RZA, because when he's introduced, it's over a radio, and I was like, that sounds like RZA, because I didn't see his name pop up in the credits the first time I watched it, and in the opening credits, that is. And same with Christopher Lloyd. I don't know what the hell I was doing during the opening credits, but also I thought when Christopher Lloyd was first on screen before he started talking, I thought that it was Lance Hendrickson. Because Christopher Lloyd and Lance Hendrickson look very similar these days.
That's true.
But then as soon as he started talking, I'm like, oh shit, it's Christopher Lloyd. And of course, the fact that he plays a bigger role than what you might expect was pretty awesome. I know that Bob Odenkirk did an AMA on Reddit the other day and revealed a lot of the stuff that happens. I would say don't go back and reread that until you see this, because I think there's a lot of fun surprises. All right, let's go ahead and give this a score. Nobody. I'm at an 8.5 on this.
Okay.
I'm up there. I'm up there.
Yeah, I'm I go to 8. I'm gonna go 8.
As far as 2021 movies go, I think this might be my number one movie so far.
Yeah, it's close. I just had a ton of fun.
Yeah. So highly recommend it. Rent Nobody. It's on VOD. Let's move on and talk about someone we're watching. Kevin, I think it's your turn this week.
I only watched one other thing, and that is Brian Bertino's The Dark and the Wicked. On the Shudder platform there. I figured out what I did wrong the last time. Did a .com instead of the .net. You would think I would know.
I do have .com, but using that account is .net. Yes.
Yeah, that you can't do that for the username,
Right.
or whatever.
Yep.
So Dark and the Wicked. Thought, what the hell? Give this a shot. My wife wanted to see this, and I was surprised. I actually enjoyed this a good bit. I really disliked the very, very end, like the last, split second jump scare type thing. The end of the movie, that felt like something that was like added, for commercial reasons. Like, oh, we have to put this on, and just kind of undermine everything that we did before. So that was a little bit of a downer, but it's literally 1 second at the end, so you can just kind of forget about it and just be like, you know what, that didn't really exist. So you got this great location, farm, secluded farm, goat farm. I mean, what's better than a goat farm out in the middle of nowhere? And 2 kids coming back, Marin Ireland, and I forget who the guy is, Michael Abbott Jr. maybe. Brother and sister come back because their dad's dying, and something's just fucking going on here. Something weird. People, there's moms having nightmares and all sorts of stuff, talking to people that aren't there. You got your chopping carrots, which you got your Suicide Club influence there, because you know where it's going. That build up, that rhythmic chopping, that it's not going to end with carrots.
Nope.
So, but the one thing that was really fucked up is where this movie went in terms of like when the priest shows up and how that all plays out.
Yeah, dude.
I did not see that coming. That is not something that I thought I had a read on the movie and knew what was going on here. And I'm like, okay, this is fairly simple. Okay. You have some sort of demon and he's just trying to steal a soul. Okay. They have to fight off this demon, but it opens up and it's far more complex than that. And it's not just this farmhouse, like it reaches out into other towns and stuff in the way that it's just, whew.
That scene with Michael Abbott Jr. when he leaves and goes home.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, dude.
I distinctly remember you talking about this movie and it being kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Like there's some fucked up things that happen. And that's what put it on my radar, that I was like, oh, I have to check that out sometime. And then I saw it on my wife's watch list and I was like, okay, here we go. Let's do it. And you're right. There's some fucked up stuff, especially like you said, that Michael Abbott Jr.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. Poor boy.
That poor nurse, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was... You see certain objects, right? As soon as an object is introduced in a movie, you just know, like, that's going in an eye.
That's getting stuck in something that it shouldn't.
I'm not sure whose, but someone's. It's going right through there. And guess what? Like, you're never wrong. It always ends up in an eye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's 2 recommendations. The Dark and the Wicked. Check it out on Shudder.
Yes.
It's available there.
Do it.
I saw Terminal from 2018. This is directed by Vaughn Stein. I don't know why I decided to watch this movie. I think because it's on Hulu and it is this... I was sort of in the mood for kind of a crime thriller. And this one is like... It bills itself as sort of a noir. And it has Margot Robbie and Simon Pegg and Mike Myers in it. And I think that's how I actually got the connection, because I watched Wayne's World for Saved by the 90s, and I was like, oh man, I haven't seen Mike Myers in a while. And I looked up his filmography and I saw that he was in this movie, and that made me want to watch it. So This movie is about, I don't even, it's hard to even describe what this movie's about. It's so messy. Basically Margot, I really wish I could just spoil the shit out of this movie because it's so ridiculous. The like quote unquote twist that happens at the end is so ridiculous. But it's about Margot Robbie plays this sort of mysterious character. She's someone who appears to be pulling a lot of different strings, but at the same time, you're not sure like how she's involved with everything that's going on. And it sort of tells the story of these two hitmen, and then you have Simon Pegg, who plays a teacher who has an illness that is a fatal illness, and you have Mike Myers, who plays this kind of creepy janitor. This janitor who definitely has more going on than what he's revealing. And it all takes place in this like abandoned train terminal. And not abandoned, but like kind of shut down train terminal. And it is an absolute dumpster fire. Like from beginning to end. It is so awful. So awful. It is ugly. It is horrifically ugly. They try to like give it this noir look, but it ends up just feeling super cheap. Like the lighting is so out of whack in it. Like lots of neon and stuff, and it just looks really bad. And everything has this sort of Alice in Wonderland like vibe to it, where they keep trying to like relate what's happening in the movie to Alice in Wonderland. And it's just like feels so dumb and surface level, and the twist that occurs is laughably bad, and it makes no sense, and you're just like, how is that even like, what's the point? So yeah, anyway, I cannot recommend Terminal from 2018. If you do want to watch it, it is on Hulu, but it is rough. Margot Robbie's good in it though.
I'm so confused because like I don't remember this as a thing.
It came and went really fast. Yeah, it came and went super fast.
I guess we know why now.
Yeah. I saw The Banishing. This is on Shudder. This dropped on Thursday. I like that Shudder puts their new releases out on Thursdays, because everybody does Tuesday or Friday. Tuesday for the stuff that's been released previously and like the dumpster stuff, and then Friday for the bigger new releases. And I like that Shudder is like carving out their own space on Thursdays. I appreciate that. So this is directed by Christopher Smith. This is the guy who did Triangle, which I liked a lot, very underrated, and Black Death, another one that I liked quite a bit, also somewhat underrated, and then Severance, which was a horror comedy, which I liked a lot too, with Danny Dyer. So, I didn't really have any expectations going into this one. Didn't know too much about it. I knew that Jessica Brown Findlay starred in it, and that's really all I knew. It took place in the 30s. What you have here is your pretty, at least to me, pretty typical haunted house movie. Not a lot new going on here. There are some decent scares, but for the most part, this is ultimately very forgettable. And I don't really have that much to say about it, honestly. Like, I was not very impressed by it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing.
I had a feeling with that movie, because like I was intrigued, because I like haunted house movies.
Me too.
I love them, and I will, like, if the quality's a little bit low, I'll still enjoy them. They're like comfort food for me. But it also looked like it had the opportunity to just be really dull.
Yeah,
it looked like it could be dull.
It is. There's some interesting concepts and stuff thrown in here, and the quality is actually very good. It looks really good, but it was, to me, a bit dull. So I can't quite recommend it, unfortunately. But it is on Shudder if you do have Shudder. Again, it's called The Banishing. Let's see. I saw Riot on 42nd Street from 1987. This is directed by Tim Kincaid, who Depending on what you're into, you might know him as Joe Gage, because he's a pretty prolific gay porn director.
Okay.
He's still making them, by the way.
All right.
Or at least according to his IMDb, still pushing them out. When he would direct regular movies, he would go under his real name, Tim Kincaid. This is a kind of an exploitation film. Takes place on 42nd Street, the Deuce, and it's just about this ex-con gets out of prison, goes back to reopen his family nightclub, and this rival nightclub owner tries to come and get him to leave, and then it escalates there and turns into a violent confrontation. This is really bad. It's really poorly made, but it does have some of that great New York sleaze that I love so much. So it's almost worth watching for that. I did watch this on Midnight Pulp, which is, I believe, a relatively new streaming service, and it is free on there, so you can just watch it for free on Midnight Pulp. The quality is not very good. It's only in 480p, and it looks like it was maybe ripped from a VHS, although I'm not sure. I guess if it's 480p, it was probably ripped from a DVD, but yeah, quality is not very good. I think that this could probably use some sort of remaster, or at least a new transfer or something. Also in Midnight Pulp, I watched this movie called Vibrations from 1968. This is directed by Joseph Sarno. Now, I've never seen any Joe Sarno movies. He is a pretty prolific sexploitation director, and he's sort of someone who I think could largely be credited with the sexploitation boom of the 60s throughout the early 80s, when hardcore pornography sort of made sexploitation movies irrelevant. And I've never seen any of his movies before, so I figured I'd start with like an early one, which is about a writer who moves into this apartment building in Manhattan. Again, there's some really great New York cinematography in this movie. In fact, all of the cinematography in this movie is pretty stunning for the type of movie that it is. Like, I was kind of blown away by this. In fact, I know that Joe Sarno's been dubbed the Bergman of porn, because his movies look so incredible, but like, content wise, they're like kind of like cheap skin flicks. Mm-hmm. So what you have here is this movie about this woman who moves into this apartment. She's a writer, and her sister ends up moving in with her, and her sister's like she's just like super horny all the time, and she's like weirdly hitting on her sister a lot too. So there's this sort of incest angle to the movie. But the whole plot is basically their neighbor is just constantly using this very 60s looking vibrator thing, and like just kind of rubbing it all over her body, like on her arms and on her boobs and stuff, and it like drives the sister crazy, and eventually like they end up having an orgy or something. It's, other than the cinematography and like, so what'll happen is there'll be like this really, I mean, I guess it was risque for the 60s, but for today's standards, it's pretty boring. You have this like kind of this sex scene, and then you have a scene where the sister is just sort of wandering the streets of New York, and like all of those scenes are really great, and then you go back to this really boring sex scene, and then you go, and it just sort of jumps back and forth until the movie's over. So it's hard to recommend it, but at the same time, it's like on a visual level, like it's pretty impressive. So I don't know how to. I don't know what to say about it. I don't know if I'm gonna watch any more Joe Sarno stuff after this, because I feel like anything beyond this might just be not as good. So I don't know.
You're gonna stop there.
The thing is, like, I like all exploitation cinema, but I was never that into the sexploitation, because I find it to be like pretty boring for the most part. Like the stories are always just so. I mean, you could say the same thing about action movies, that have like next to no plot. It's just they use the plot to as a buffer between action scenes. But the thing is, like with sexploitation, it's like if I'm watching a movie for entertainment purposes, like I'm not like these like really dopey looking softcore sex scenes are just not interesting to me at all. Like,
Yeah.
if I want to watch porn, I'll just watch porn,
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to see something like, but I'm sitting down to watch a movie. I'm trying to gain something out of it. Anyway, the only other one that I'll mention is called Death Machine. This was released in 1994. It's directed by Stephen Norrington. I don't know how I ended up wanting to watch this. I like 90s movies. I like 90s sci-fi movies, especially ones that involve like cybernetics and like computers and stuff like that. And what you have here is oh, you know what? I do remember how I got to this. I watched Blade for last month's Saved by the 90s, and this is the same guy who directed Blade.
Gotcha.
He also directed a movie called The Last Minute, and I don't know if you saw that, but I remember liking that movie a whole lot back in the day.
Last Minute.
Yeah, it was like an action movie, I think, like a crime thriller, and I can't remember if you saw that with me or not. But at any rate, Death Machine is it takes place in this like big corporation, and it's this giant office building that has like all these different vaults, and they're working on like top secret projects. And Brad Dourif plays this like genius computer guy but he's like crazy. He's very eccentric. Like his office is more like a lair, and he's got like all kinds of weird shit going on. And he ends up building this robot monster that can basically just kill for him. And the movie feels like sort of a cross between RoboCop and Terminator, with maybe a little bit of Alien thrown in there for good measure. So you have Brad Dourif, who goes nuts and has this giant robot monster going through this office complex, killing people. And the CEO of the company, played by Ellie Pouget, she has to stop it from killing her and everybody else. And she teams up with these like sort of activist guys who wanted to go in and like destroy I don't know what, steal information and release it to the public or something. It's pretty bad. It's definitely a maybe a so bad it's good type of movie where it's pretty goofy, but there's some fun elements to it. It does feel very, very 90s, and I really hated the cinematography. It's got that awful, like, soft lighting where everything just looks so foggy and dumb. I really couldn't stand that. Everything's dark, and all the lighting is very soft, and it's just not very pleasing to the eye. And it's clearly a very low budget movie because like every time they show the robot, you only see like parts of the robot. You never see the whole robot, and even when you do see the whole robot, it's just for like a split second. So yeah, I don't know. Overall, I don't think I would recommend Death Machine.
Still gonna watch it because it sounds great.
Yeah, it's like I said, it might be a so bad it's good type of movie. All right, let's talk about some of what we got on VOD this week. On the 20th, we have Vanquish coming out. Looks like an action movie with Morgan Freeman and Ruby Rose. It's from the director of Double Take. So there you go.
Oh, there you go.
At Night Comes Wolves is coming out. This is a really cool poster, by the way. I don't know if you've seen the poster for this one. It looks like it kind of looks like a 60s or 70s like pulp novel cover. to me. Like when I used to go into
okay.
Treasure Tales
Yeah.
paperback trade, I'd find a lot of book covers like this.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this one. Doesn't look great, but it has potential maybe. We have the marijuana conspiracy. This is a true story of back in the 70s. They did this like quote unquote scientific study on the effects of marijuana on women. So they had a bunch of women get together and just smoke weed all day, every day.
What?
Yeah. Also on the 20th, we have Night of the Sicario, starring Natasha Henstridge. I feel like I haven't seen that name in a while. We have Grace Fury. We have Death Ranch. We got...
Oh, no. I gotta look that up.
Death Ranch takes place in the 1970s. 3 African-American siblings, Brandon, Angela, and Clarence, on the run from the police. They take refuge in an abandoned Tennessee ranch. But they discover that this ranch is the hideout of a cannibalistic Ku Klux Klan cult.
What? This is directed by a guy named Charlie Steeds.
That sounds fake. That sounds like an alias.
I mean, you're making making a movie called Death Ranch, and your last name is Steeds. Come on now.
Let's see. We have Stealing Chaplain. We got For the Sake of Vicious. Something about that name really bothers me. That title, For the Sake of Vicious. Like, it just doesn't.
I hear you.
It's not right. Interestingly, on the calendar, I have the marijuana conspiracy listed 3 times. So apparently it was like all about that one. Actually, the truth of the matter is I probably forgot about it so many times that every time I got an email about it, I'm like, all right, I'll add that to the calendar. Completely forgetting the previous time I added it.
You just want to get the word out.
Yeah. I mean, the movie looks decent, to be clear. On the 23rd, we have We Broke Up. This is a comedy about a couple who breaks up, but they had already committed to going to this wedding, so they decide to go together anyway, and comedy ensues. It actually looks pretty decent. We got Bloodthirsty. This is one that I talked about a while back. I can't remember which festival it was that I saw this at last year, but it's not great. Got Trigger Point. This is an action movie starring Barry Pepper.
Wow.
Wow. That's about it for VOD. Be sure to check the calendar throughout the week as we will be updating it. Usually there's something popping up on Netflix or HBO or one of those. Oh, actually, I did forget a huge one. Mortal Kombat is going to be on HBO Max.
Oh, that's right.
So stay tuned for that. We will definitely be reviewing that next week on the show. I realized that is, I think, my number 1 most anticipated movie of the year thus far. I'm just like so beyond excited for it. I don't even care if it's bad. Like, to me, the trailer was enough to let me know, like, hey, you know what? Even if the story's garbage, there's going to be some really good fight scenes in this, and that's really all I care about.
Yeah, that's all you want.
And it looks like it's got all my favorite characters, like Kung Lao's in there, and I'm just really excited.
I did not know that Asano was playing Raiden. I haven't seen him in a movie in ages.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen him in a while either. And
he used to be in like every single movie that we watched.
Yeah,
for like a period of time.
Yeah, and I like that they got what's his name to play Sub-Zero from The Raid and Night Comes for Us.
This is gonna be.
I think it's I'm very very excited.
Yes.
On Blu-ray this week, we don't have a complete list, I don't think, because Blu-ray.com is currently down, so we're using BestBuy.com here. We got Chariots of Fire. We got Dave Chappelle's Block Party from 2005. That was good, man. I really liked that. It's a documentary. A Werewolf in England, not to be confused with American Werewolf in London.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have the Mortuary Collection. I would recommend this. This is on Shudder if you have Shudder, but this is an anthology horror film, much like Tales from the Crypt or like Tales from the Hood. Any one of those. I really liked it. It's a really cool throwback, and the segments are all pretty solid. Crisis comes out. Interestingly, the director of this movie DM'd me on Twitter a couple days ago asking me if I wanted to review it. I didn't reply.
Oh.
Yeah. It wasn't because I saw it and was like, yeah. It was like I just didn't didn't have the time.
I'm too busy adding the marijuana conspiracy.
Yeah. Once Upon a Time in Tombstone. This looks like some kind of... I don't even know what the fuck this is. I've got Test Pattern.
Ooh, I want to see that. I've heard really good things.
Yeah, so have I, actually. Body Brokers. We got The Game Changers, Fueled by the Truth.
Fueled by the Truth. Those veins are fucking bulging.
It looks like
so much fuel.
It looks like Swamp Thing coming out here.
Fucking burst. Jeez.
Let's see. We got Death Ranch is coming out on DVD. Got The Inheritance. I feel like I just reviewed a movie called The Inheritance like last year, and here's another one. Annie Get Your Gun from 1950. Mutiny on the Bounty from 1935. Pororo, Treasure Island Adventure.
Oh, yeah.
Pororo. Interviewing Monsters and Bigfoot from 2019.
Wow.
Interviewing Monsters and Bigfoot.
That is perhaps the worst title I've heard.
No, you know what? You know what the worst title is? It's a movie that is coming out. It's coming out very soon. I don't know if I wrote a review for it, but I did see it at a festival like a year or two ago. It used to be called The Vice Guide to Bigfoot, but now it's called 15 Things You Didn't Know About Bigfoot. Number 1 will blow your mind.
Wow.
That is literally the title of the fucking movie.
That's terrible. But Interviewing Monsters and Bigfoot stars Tom Green, so.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. 15 Things You Didn't Know About Bigfoot. Number 1 will blow your mind. What the fuck? Something happened with this movie where, like, they had the like rights to use the Vice logo and name, and then they must have lost it somehow. Like something happened because they released a trailer and Vice is nowhere to be found. And I bet they had to change the title and strip all the Vice stuff away, and they didn't know what to do, so they just probably put that in as a placeholder and just never changed it.
Incredible.
What do we got on Criterion's this week?
Oh, we got 2. One that I know that you're super excited for. That's Memories of Murder.
Oh, yeah.
2003. I mean, come on.
You're
going to cop that.
That was our introduction. That was our introduction to Bong Joon-ho.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Wait, was it? Was that the first one that we watched?
Yeah. Definitely. What would be the... Is there one I'm not thinking of?
I don't know.
It has to be that.
Well, now I'm curious.
I know he had one. I think he had one movie before Memories of Murder, but I definitely didn't see that before.
Yeah,
Memories of Murder.
Yeah. No, because I think Barking Dogs Never Bite kind of like you started seeing it after Memories of Murder.
Yeah, I'm like almost certain because I remember when we saw Memories of Murder, like that was just a total game changer for me. Like I was just so blown away by it.
Lost it. I was there. I saw it.
Yeah.
It was a transformation.
I think that was one you got. You picked that one up.
I think so.
That was a Kevin discovery.
Yeah, I did it.
You were in the Bong Hive way before it was cool.
Yeah, way back in the day.
2003.
Yeah. Fresh out of high school. Just jumped straight on the train. The other one is The Furies from 1950. That's getting a re-release. Barbara Stanwyck, Western, and that's your two criterions there.
All right, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @filmpulsenet and @filmpulsekevin. And if you have a minute, consider reviewing us on iTunes. We'd appreciate that very much. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.